I'm going to call time. But if think about this as being an intelligence test. If I gave you this test to determine your intelligence, do you think that this would be a fair test?
No.
But why? Why would this not be a fair test?
We haven't had an opportunity to necessarily learn this information.
Yeah, geography's nothing.
So experience?
Yeah.
Anything else?
Education.
Education. Anything else?
Personal knowledge of experience.
Anything else? Brainstorm it.
The ability to memorize random facts.
That sounds good.
All these can be found on Google, so what's the point of taking a test about it?
You know, Andy, I just knew I could count on you. The point of this is that this might not be an accurate assessment of your intelligence, okay? Right? Now, for my daughter, what might be some of the things, if you had the knowledge and the experience, that might prevent you from taking this test well on any particular day? Take Andy, for instance. He doesn't like the Raiders, and the Raiders beat his favorite team. He comes to class and he's agitated. His mind isn't in the game. Anybody, my daughter, for instance, she will study for a test, but if she has a bad hair day, she may not show up to class. And there goes her test, score down the drain. This, I want to give a 10-finger woo to all of you. And you can give it back to each other, because you have just isolated and explained MAnastasi. And she is my theorist that I was tasked with researching. Really cool lady. The cool thing about her was that she looked at any kind of a test and thought, okay, well, here's the test score, and that's really cool, but what is that score not telling me? That score may not be telling me about this person's experience, about this person's education, about this person's personal knowledge, or about this person's ability to memorize. So she looked at these tests a little bit differently. If you remember two things about her, you'd want to remember that she's a test guru. That's one of her nicknames. And the other thing is she was concerned with psychometrics. And I was trying to wrap my head around psychometrics. What psychometrics is attempting to explain to you is that you take a test, but all these variables are somehow measurable. I'm not sure how you measure them. In the research that I did, because Dixie gave us such a limited amount of opportunity, you know, I couldn't really wrap my head around, how am I going to measure experience? Do you have any ideas? Share with your shoulder partner. How would you measure experience? How would you measure, well, I guess you could measure education, right? But because, as Dixie was talking about earlier with Lisa, some of the kids are just, before class today, we were just talking about kids who are just, her sons, Dixie's sons, were taking math classes, doing a little homework and getting A's. Okay, so their educational statistics reflect, hey, they really knew their stuff, but did they know math? Not according to Dixie. So again, talk with your shoulder partner. Are these things measurable? How would you measure it in a statistical format? How would you measure it? I don't know. I don't know. I'm throwing it out to you.
You can't really make a standardized test for something specific. Unless it's a blank
Said, how do you then show
personal knowledge.
Memorize?
How do you measure that?
Like a bunch of words.
Class?
Yes.
Can anybody tell me how they would measure it? Is it measurable? The coolest factor with MAnastasi was that she felt that, hey, you can't just take this test and label this person. Am I going to label Emily a certain way on the basis of one test when I don't look at other factors, when I don't look at her culture, when I don't look at her education, when I don't look at her experience, and maybe when I don't look at whatever emotion she had on that particular day? So that's part of the coolness factor for Anne. So I want to tell you a little bit about her. She was born in 1908, and within a year of her birth, her father passed away. So here she lives with a psychotic grandma who says, okay, I'm looking out the door, all the kids in the play yard are going bananas out there, I don't want you going to public school. Since her dad is deceased, she's living with not only her grandma, but her mother and her uncle. All are very educated people and not really able to take care of themselves in the real world. So mom pulled herself up by the bootstraps and got a job and supported the daughter, Anne, and then her uncle and the grandmother. So grandma finally relents because she gets to a point where she just can't homeschool her granddaughter anymore, but she recognizes that she has great intelligence. So they bring in a teacher who takes over from there, but suddenly the teacher's like, I can't teach this kid anymore. She's just too bright. Anne tries to go to school, she tries to go to public school, but it's pretty futile because she's just too advanced. So at the age of 15, she entered Barnard and got a degree in math, took a psychology class and thought, wow, I really like this. I love math, I love statistics, but I also love psychology. She goes on to Cornell University and she gets her PhD. Completely brilliant woman. So when you think about it, way back in 1908, I'm a single parent and I know how hard it was, and my kids are still but anyway, that's another class. But I think about my own children and how hard it was to be a single parent. Back in those days, that's really unique for somebody to go that far in life, you know, and being from a single parent family. Granted, she did have some male influence, but if you read between the lines, that uncle sounded so intelligent that he had no common sense and really wasn't a hugely positive factor in her life. So here she is, she gets through college and she's doing her psychology thing. She's, in my way of thinking, pretty normal about how she looks at things. What I liked about her was, you know, she tried to make everything simple for her students. Don't read so much stuff into it. Take the test, take a breath, step back, and look at these other factors that might influence. Things weren't so cut and dried for her. In the 30s, I think it was 1933, she got married to a psychologist, an animal psychologist. His name was John Foley. And then she's in this other crisis mode. Okay, so what am I going to do? Quit my job? Have kids like traditionally everybody's supposed to do? Already I've had this diverse upbringing from a single parent family, but as fate intervenes, she has cervical cancer and she can't have kids, and so she's able to go on and pursue her love of psychology. So again, the two things you want to remember with her: test guru. She looks at the intelligence tests, she thinks about them, but then she realizes that there's many other factors that could, and these are just the few that we mentioned here, that could interfere with what the actual scoring would be. So she liked to take a step back and evaluate the person for who they were. So in her opinion, it wasn't what the intelligence test said, it was what it didn't say. And she thought that was probably more interesting to explore than the actual results of the test itself. So do I have any questions about her? So I like to bring my little class to full circle. And I got you the results for the test that I gave you. And I hate to tell you, but that big mall, it's in Canada. It's in Alberta, Canada. And that was the bonus question for all you women.
It's not the Mall of America.
No, it's not the Mall of America.
I went there.
Can anybody want to answer? Give me one of the answers they had for their questions.
Angel Falls.
For which? For number 10? Angel Falls, you got it. Thumbs up, you guys, for Dixie. Number 10 was Angel Falls.
What is number
Where is
one?
it?
Number 1 is Lake Superior on the U.S.-Canada border. It has the largest surface area.
We got
There you
that.
go.
I got Where's Angel Falls at?
Venezuela.
Venezuela.
That's the Dead Sea. Because I didn't want you guys to go home and have to look this up, although maybe I'll let Andy do it since he...
Yeah, don't give it to him.
Yeah.
Why?
That's what I thought too. I was making sure.